The following nonsense you're about to see was sponsored by Surfshark VPN.
I know this is gonna seem weird for some of you, but in my defense...
Why not?
Hi, yes, we're actually doing this. For those of you who don't know, How to Train Your Dragon is one of the most acclaimed adaptations of all time. Mainly because it's based on a book and those animated films are fire. The remake is... well, ask myself. This movie is just How to Train Your Dragon again. Yeah, sounds about right. The most successful horse girl movie ever made, the trilogy has us follow a young Viking named Hiccup as we watch him grow into an adult and find friendship as a chance encounter with a dragon. Well, it changes the course of his life, the world, and most importantly to me, and Tumblr, it introduces him to his future wife Astrid, who are cartoon couple allegedly. Look, I'll be honest, it is neck and neck between them and the Ogres for being DreamWorks' true romantic masterpiece. People like these couples for different reasons, but Hickstrid, and no, I didn't pick the ship name, but it is what it is. For all the hype though, this couple, it's been a while since I've seen these movies, so I don't feel comfortable doing like just hard decisions right out the gate. As yeah, it's been a while since I've seen them, and last time I did I was young and stupid, so I can't really make any hard calls. So naturally, I felt a moral obligation to go back to watch this stuff to see is it as good as I remember, and to time it along with the real shit, I didn't make it. Yeah, that timing didn't work out. But I am still curious to see if this ship is still peak or if it just benefited from being a normal, uncomplicated couple that came out during a time where we were just given mess or nothing. Let's see if Hickstrid lives up to the hype or if it lobotomized Astrid after movie 1 with no real goals of her own besides being Hiccup's cheerleader. And I need to stress how I am quoting someone else, even though that does sound like something I would say. But yeah, let's go back to the film, see if this ship truly sails, but no pressure. If this is all for fun, fandom spaces are famously chill about things they are attached to as children, so I'm screwed. But first, do you enjoy the illusion of privacy? Are you under the false impression that your internet browsing history isn't being quietly sold to data brokers? Because let's face it, the internet knows more about you than your mother, your therapist, and your extremely online ex combined. And that's a problem, and one today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, is here to solve. Surfshark is the digital invisibility cloak for modern day wizards with too many tabs open. It encrypts your data, masks your IP address, and lets you pretend you're browsing from literally anywhere else like Canada, or that one country everyone wants to visit because weebs. This will get you access to region-locked content, so if a show isn't available on one streaming service, it might be available on that one streaming service in a different country, allowing you to cut down your subs so you can focus on doming the things that actually matter. But wait, there is more. Surfshark comes with CleanWeb, which blocks ads, trackers, malware, and other digital gremlins trying to climb inside your hard drive and whisper about crypto. Or just generally cluttering up your screen, which makes for extremely annoying viewing experiences. For one account, you get unlimited devices. That's right, you can use it on phone, laptop, probably smart fridge, meaning that you can protect your entire digital kingdom. Or at least your weirdly judgmental Reddit history. So if you like not being tracked, accessing global content, and generally feeling like a techno ninja, go to surfshark.com/sarcastic or use code sarcastic at checkout to get 4 extra months off Surfshark VPN. And if you don't like it, Surfshark does have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so whatever the outcome, you will come out ahead. As remember, if anyone's gonna commodify your data, it should at least be you.
This is Berk. It's 12 days north of hopeless and a few degrees south of freezing to death.
We start with a travel ad to the city of Berk, promoting it as the best place to live if you're tired of living, as there be dragons. And karma's a bitch.
We have dragons.
See, Berk is a Viking village, and if you know anything about the usual depiction of Vikings, you know, raids, plundering other people for their resources, that's kind of their whole thing, making what's happening to them right now and having to fight for their lives just a teensy bit ironic. But these are fantasy Vikings, so naturally they are all badasses who are ready to throw down, which makes sense given how anyone with 2 brain cells at this point, they have been here for 7 generations, if they're still around and didn't immediately leave this shit show, they have got to be the meanest, toughest, and most importantly, stubborn bloodlines this side of the Arctic. So naturally, the worst thing that you could possibly be in this community is a nerd.
What are you doing here?
Get inside! Get back inside!
This successful disappointment is Hiccup, 50 pounds wet with enough jaded sarcasm to guarantee that you know he is bullied. At a mere 15, he's already fallen to the bottom of the, well, social hierarchy, as all the adults are warriors and even the other teens, firefighting duty. Meanwhile, Hiccup, just being outside is treated like an omen of bad luck. Even his father, the Viking ideal stoic, the Vast, tells him to stay the fuck inside, and if you think for a second that comes off like, oh, concerned dad kind of way, it doesn't.
What is he doing out again? What are you doing out? Get inside! Yeah,
Hiccup's got daddy issues. The village sees him as a nuisance, and most tragically of all, he's got a crush.
Oh my god!
So clearly nothing is going right for him in this exact moment. This may not be high school, but it might as well be, as he is getting bullied. With even Hiccup's teacher telling him that to find the problem in his life, all he needs to do is look in a mirror.
You need to stop all this.
What, you just pointed to all of me?
Yes.
Yeah, even the dragons are gonna wince at that burn. But despite lacking acceptance and having the voice of a grown man, Hiccup still aspires to win the approval of these yahoos, thinking that if he can just kill a dragon, his life will get better. As dragon killing is the only profession that matters, though carpentry should be right up there. Now, there's something of a tier system for how much respect you get for slaying certain kinds of dragons. The blue chickens, despite Astrid getting one of her own, is somehow considered the worst, while the flame ones go to the worst guy. But Hiccup, being ever ambitious, decides, no, I'm not gonna kill any of those things, no. He's going for the F-117. Then, because plot, he actually manages to snipe this thing with his custom catapult, and then no one believes him. Because why would they? It's Hiccup. Though he does manage to prove he is the Johnny Bench of this village, as he is catching blame for everything around here.
Oh, it's not like the last few times.
So to answer the question I'm sure you are asking, this movie does open with a man yelling at his son in front of the entire community. But Stoic isn't anywhere close to the worst animated fathers debate, as the chicken is still alive. Meanwhile, Hiccup is winning at being an outcast. No one likes him. His father doesn't fuck with him. Everyone else in his tribe thinks he's either a joke or a nuisance, with even the other kids all making fun of him, with only one possible exception.
Thank you, I was trying, so.
Ow!
That is the bare minimum. She doesn't seem to hate him. But despite all that, Hiccup has been trying to win these haters' respect for years. He does seem to be like a smart kid. He has all these inventions, all these gadgets, all promising shit, but he's living in what is like the Middle Ages. No one cares. Also, some of those inventions tend to blow up in other people's faces, so they are wary of him. The only positive role model he has is telling him to stop trying to be something he's not. But he also just said 5 minutes ago to stop being, quote, all of you, leaving Hiccup with mixed messages and zero answers for what to do with his life. Hence the obsession with earning his dad's respect by killing this dragon. As if he does that, all his problems will be solved, and why the fuck is he letting it go?
I love you, bitch.
See, this is the problem. Empathy. It gets in the way of you getting what you want by making you a better person. Though speaking of becoming a better person, his dad, after talking to from his gay best friend, and yes, that is canon, has decided to enroll Hiccup in dragon training because, while he's not the best dad, definitely not the worst, he has great ironic timing.
I think it's time you learn to fight dragons. What?
Having signed his son up for child endangerment while he goes to endanger himself, Hiccup, well, he finally gets the meet cute.
So I guess it's just you and me, huh?
Nope, just you.
And now it's over. But to jump ahead, Hiccup befriends that dragon that he maimed, named it Toothless, breaking free of 7 generations of indoctrination that Dragon X Viking always has to equal death, with his insight from hanging out with Toothless allowing Hiccup to reach the conclusion that dragons are just cats. So he starts winning his training, driving the former star student into a rage. There's only 5 other teens in this village that matter, 4 of them are worthless, which leaves Astrid Hofferson as the only non-NPC Hiccup's age. Now, our first look at Astrid is from a teen boy's POV. hence the fat crush. But once we move away from the boy dying of thirst, we get a pretty good look at who Astrid actually is and how she differs from the rest of the jokes that are her peers.
Watch out, babe. I'll take care of this.
You suck!
Everyone wants to grow up to be a Viking. I mean, who doesn't want to be a hero who dies horribly and is only remembered by drunks? These kids were raised to think dragon hunting is the only profession that matters and that it is the coolest, it is their duty, and Astrid has been drinking that Kool-Aid harder than anyone else. She sees this as a war. She sees this as their legacy. This is what they have to do. This is not just like, oh, I'm going to win daddy's approval. Something of the leader around here. Astrid is the only kid that you could like hazard a guess, even though it's not true that she lost family members to a dragon. Only one you could possibly say fits that vibe. As yeah, the others are all just dicking around. Meanwhile, Astrid is trying to lock in and actually learn from the death trap she calls a coach. To her, this isn't just a way of life, it is a war. One she is trying to win, hence why she can't stand that Hiccup is here cracking jokes.
So I guess we'll share?
Reddit.
All mine then. Wow.
Astrid is a warrior. If they had promotions, she had easily earned all of them, but unfortunately, she seems to have fallen victim of being the only girl.
The most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life.
The boys are fighting over. The frat kid refuses to stop shooting a shot. Hiccup is crushing for surface level reasons, thinking she's, well,
Astrid.
hot, their metaphor, not mine, leaving Astrid to be frustrated as no one else is taking this as seriously as she is, creating an interesting situation for how Hiccup and Astrid's relationship shifts over the course of the movie. As at first, she is the sole kid who isn't bullying the shit out of them. Even Fishlegs, the husky geek, is getting his licks in. We don't really know what her opinion of Hiccup is at the start of the film, or like before it really, but if she didn't have an opinion on him before, she definitely has one once they start training, as she's used to a lot of the quirks of the kids around her, ignoring the flirt, powering through the shenanigans of the rest, yet it seems to be Hiccup that really pisses her off, as this is supposed to be the culmination of her life. All 15 years of it, where she finally becomes a dragon hunter, going from putting out fires to slaying the things that start them. This is what she has been working for, and now she has a known jinx getting in her way, and even worse, one that is somehow surpassing her. Yeah, Hiccup's the new big cheese around here, as decades of concussions have made it so no one is questioning Hiccup's sudden mastery of dragons. He's not beating them, he's not killing them, he's somehow managing them. The people don't question it and said he is proof that some latent dragon-slaying gene is coming to the surface. Hiccup has earned the respect of his peers, with the village now embracing the kid that not 3 weeks ago they were trying to put in a corner, with Astrid now being Hiccup's sole hater, as she is the only one to clock how suspicious any of this bullshit is. This is of course couched in some deep-seated jealousy. Girl spent her entire life trying to become the best, only for a nerd she was running circles around to suddenly start outclassing her. But come on, you'd be bitter too if you spend your entire life building your whole personality around a skill set someone else can do better while treating it as a hobby. Rip to the art kids currently listening to this while they work. Something though that I did notice on this rewatch is that there is kind of a commonality between Hiccup and Astrid before the magic carpet ride. And it's pretty simple. They both don't have any friends.
Bitch, what am I?
Like, hear me out on this. Astrid, at the very start of the story, yeah, she's hanging out, she's around these other people, but we never see her actually interact with any of them. She never cracks a smile, she's never like hanging on their shoulders. She is just around, seemingly annoyed at most of what they do, and this all kind of contributes to the idea that Astrid isn't fully like the others. These classmates we do see, primarily the twins and Snotlout, bully Hiccup. Fishleg seems to be like cheering it on, probably just thankful that it isn't him, but Astrid is just to the side. She doesn't seem to get involved, creating this sense of isolation, that she, just like Hiccup, is alone at the start of the series, and I do find that interesting. Astrid, upon closer inspection, doesn't seem like she's close with any of these people, despite how hard some of them are trying.
So anyway, I moved into my parents' basement. You should come by sometime to work out. You look like you work out.
That's about as close as you can say that they were. They were colleagues, classmates, and that was kind of it. And also, if you want to dig in any deeper and slow down this footage, you can kind of see the exact moment she got fucked. Look, we love Hiccup. He is Toothless's best friend, so we kind of have to. And he did have like a wonderful growing experience this last couple of months, no, maybe it's a few weeks. And like, yeah, he is definitely working towards coexistence, or maybe starting a cult. Little bit of the same thing at this point. However, he did just steal the honor that should have been Astrid's, and she may not know how he did it, but she is fully right that he just fully screwed her, and those grievances are far from unfounded. So naturally, she goes the Viking way and starts hunting him.
What the what are you doing?
If the idea of your crush showing up out of nowhere with a giant axe scares you, congrats. You are a coward, though my ER bill would beg to differ. Astrid is finally demanding answers and getting some payback, but despite being quite pissed, she still does try to defend Hiccup when she thinks they're being attacked by a dragon. Well, she is being attacked by a dragon, who is stepping up because his boy was getting beat up by some blonde. Cue Hiccup having to out his secret about having a dragon friend, with him then needing to resort to, well, high altitude measures to get Astrid to hear him out on this one. Not helping the matter is Toothless taking this opportunity to haze Astrid, as she did show him some disrespect. But after putting the fear of Odin into her and getting her to apologize, that bumpy ride turns heavenly. Yeah, I can't play any of this music because copyright would fuck me immediately. This is the moment where the two finally got on the same page, and people started really shipping them, as the story pretty much said, yeah, they're just gonna date. She full on kissed him immediately after this, though they really didn't need to do that much, as TV has rotted people's brains, so that if any two characters are together and they start the film not liking each other, we'll just assume they must be in love. But now that they've done the whole show you the world bit, Astrid's distrust of dragons, her obsession with fighting the good fight, it all takes a backseat to her just more practical mindset. These dragons aren't all bad. She saw that they serve a giant queen who will eat them if they don't offer enough food, turning these terrors into victims and recontextualizing the entire Viking feud as one dragons are being semi-forced into. So while she is eager at first to do some stabbing once they get back to Berk, she also is able to recognize that revealing this information would be, well, kind of a dick move.
To protect your pet dragon? Are you serious?
Yes.
That's for everything else.
Not gonna lie, that was pretty fast. She is putting a lot of faith in a kid who just 10 minutes ago was holding her over a 50-foot fall. But you know, it's fine, because love. Again, the music in this story is everything. The sequence of Astrid flying amongst the clouds, holding his chest for dear life, it really does go a long way to just build the sense that this was a life-altering experience, and they shared it. Hiccup already had a crush, but he isn't trying to impress her, he's just trying to save his pet. And by showing her the truth, one Astrid accepts very quickly, all of her animosity turns into wonder as she realizes she didn't really know who Hiccup was. With the revelation of what actually has been happening makes Hiccup way more interesting. Not to mention it makes her feel secure as, yeah, she is still the best. Because he was cheating. So, free from that previous resentment, and having realized her life's goal was misguided, they kiss. Kind of because of course they do. It's a cliche, but it works. Dragon ride, moonlit ride, lots of emotions happening right now. Plus, Hiccup finally stood his ground for his best friend, and it paints a very flattering picture of him. And while I think they could have just had them be friends, the movie deciding that they're gonna be a couple, it does work. It is giving. Is it giving hero will get the girl? A little bit, but I think at this point in the movie, it does feel cute and less of a reward. Personally, I feel like we could have cut this one and just had the kiss at the end, but that's personal preference. Though we can't also knock how Astrid is the first human to ever truly support Hiccup after a lifetime of well-intentioned but floundering father figures, or outright haters.
You're not my son.
Yes!
Hiccup's attempts to show his tribe a different way ends with him getting outed as a dragon lover. So his father disowns him, the town hates him, and now Toothless is being used as a compass to lead the Vikings to the dragon's nest, which is where they die. In the less violent news, Hiccup has spent the last couple hours staring out into the sea,
Do a flip!
not that kind of way. With Astrid making an appearance to remind him to emote and to finally press him on like, why did he choose to spare Toothless in the first place? She's able to get Hiccup to think about like the real reason he spared the dragon. As Hiccup, he doesn't fully regret sparing Toothless. It has been like an amazing experience for him. Toothless is now his best friend, but he still kind of looks back on it as a moment of cowardice. He sees it as a flaw of his character and that it is something to be ashamed of. And that makes sense given that is how he's raised. But thanks to her poking at him, asking him to actually self-reflect, he eventually arrives at the real reason he couldn't do it. Empathy.
I looked at him and I saw myself.
Now, I like this scene as Hiccup isn't just being pulled out of his darkest hour by Astrid being told exactly who he is by her. She instead is just getting him to reflect and think about what he did and why he did it. As so much of who Hiccup is defined by this moment. And it's here with her that he finally stops seeing it as cowardice and instead sees it for what it really is. Bravery. Any of the other Viking kids would have killed Toothless in a heartbeat, if not for the fame, but just from like the fear of being shamed by the village. Hiccup saw Toothless, he saw himself, and that was enough for him to let the beast go. And now he realizes he needs to go out and save his friend one more time. And to do so, he goes and tames the other dragons, with Astrid rallying the extras to help because, well, look, they're here. The first movie needed to sell more toys, so we might as well settle for the mid-comedic relief.
You were wise to seek help from the world's most deadly weapon.
Shut up, you're so annoying!
Hiccup, basically a prophet now, is leading them all to save Toothless, proving his dad wrong, killing a kaiju-sized dragon, Jesus Christ, and completely changing his community into being pro-dragon. In fact, this is now their only thing. Which means by all accounts, Hiccup really came out ahead here. You know, minus the foot. But as they say,
Totally worth it.
you know, going back on it, I definitely can see why people ship these two as much as they did. For a 90-minute movie, it is hitting all the right beats for the story and for them. It immediately gets you invested in seeing like, okay, what's gonna happen between them? They kiss. And I think this is the most important thing for why it was truly so popular back then. It's just that everyone else kinda wasn't doing it like this. Yes, they kissed, but it's not the Disney thing of like the story going and saying, okay, now they're soulmates. It's not that aggressive. This is like the start of an actual normal relationship. It's a high starting point for sure, but for a subplot that begins with Hiccup's O face, but having gone through it, I can see why this ship got so popular so quickly. The inter-fandom shipping war just notwithstanding. But when it's all said and done, Hiccup, I love. Astrid is great for how much screen time she has, and I cannot wait to see what else they do with her in the second film. Like, it can't be that bad, right?
Oh my. Me likey.
Okay, it is that bad.
This is Berk.
Taking place 5 years after the events of the first film, we're introduced to a very different Berk. Dragon integration is a massive success. Vikings have gone all in on making their entire lives being about riding the creatures they previously were trying to kill, and now they even have sporting events about it. And Astrid, in her major scene of getting shit done, wins a game, despite her partner playing for the other team.
Here you go, babe. Did I tell you that you look amazing today? Because you do.
I cannot fathom why they decided to do like this to be the move, to take the side characters who already sucked and to then do like, okay, we're gonna do a love triangle, because I guess the twin is the only other woman in this village. But more positive news, Astrid and Hiccup are apparently engaged.
That's my future daughter-in-law.
Honestly, this makes me so happy for Stoic, as any doubts he may have had about Hiccup becoming the next leader are gone, because even if like Hiccup can't handle some things, Astrid will just have that shit on lock. Or at least she would if Hiccup was actually here.
This is amazing! No longer amazing!
To answer the obvious, yes, Hiccup has his glow up. He went from a middle school hear me out to no shit, but this boy, well, this man, is no longer content with changing society. He has become an explorer, finding new islands that are only like a few hours away from Berk. How did you not find this earlier? But that convenience of travel does allow Astrid to go check up on him. We see the two have long moved past the early stages of being a couple and are just well, together.
Have I ever done that with my hands?
You just did.
Like, I can't understate how when this movie came out, animation fans were starved for a normal ass relationship. Every piece of media we grew up on was just primarily about the chase, finding your true love, getting that final kiss at the end, then credits, we will never hear from them again. Romantic relationships aren't and shouldn't be the end-all be-all, but for animated properties, we were getting shockingly few examples of two characters who weren't parents being a couple on screen. Hence why Astrid and Hiccup felt like such a breath of fresh air, and honestly, they still are. With her even being able to figure out what he was trying to say before he gets to it. And I think one of my biggest praises for these two in general is that they have a very natural chemistry. It never feels too aggressive or playful or like, oh my god, please love these two as a couple. No. It's just natural. It feels organic. With Astrid poking fun at him, interrupting him, with Hiccup laughing it all off and denying the allegations, even though he is proving them with every shrug. She's excited for him, she loves him, and is immediately putting their itinerary together now that Hiccup is gonna be made chief. Only problem? He doesn't want to be.
It's not me, Astrid.
As even now, one essentially cult later, he still doesn't know who he is, which is the main theme of this movie. Hiccup is on a quest of self-discovery. He is coming of age, trying to figure out who he is and who he wants to be, which begins in earnest once he hears about some dude building a dragon army, and Hiccup thinks he can, well, talk no jutsu him. His dad, actually knowing the guy, tries to lock down the island, but Hiccup and Astrid get out, only for the genius to surrender to some goons and try to add some new converts to the dragons are friends, not death cults. These guys don't buy it, and then his dad shows up with the extras, and now we have a double love triangle. Or is this a square, or is this like a triangle with an adjacent person in it? Either way, kill me.
Oh my.
Now I'll just rip this band-aid off. After this, Astrid and Hiccup, well, they're separated for the rest of the movie. Hick runs off to go find Drago, the bad guy. He really thinks he can change this man's mind. Meanwhile, Astrid is following Stoic's orders to stay, and these two don't really interact till like the very, very end in a meaningful way, which is rough. You kind of expecting like, oh, we can maybe get more of them, be more battle couple, get all the shit done together. But you know what? This gave us Hiccup and his family reuniting, which is some of the best scenes in this series. So naturally, what Astrid and Kit Harington get have to be like riveting, right?
I don't know, you just keep doing what you're doing. Keep cranking.
So Astrid doesn't have anything to do for the rest of the film. There's a subplot about her trying to find Hiccup. She thinks he's been kidnapped and all that. More than anything else, that is a vehicle for us to meet the villain, but also leads to him finding out about the Dragon Riders, leading to a dude who's just kind of standing around glowering to become an actual problem for the main characters. Astrid is captured, she gives a really good intimidating speech about how great and dangerous her boyfriend is, and then she's thrown into the gulag. Drago here is, well, his whole deal is that he can control the dragons, making him take it as a personal insult that Hiccup is doing the same thing. As that's his shit, back the fuck off. Also, he needs to prove that he can yell the loudest. This subplot isn't terrible, but I've never loved the sidekicks in these movies. They all have distinct personalities, but they're never as funny as a story thinks they are, or they really needed to be. I was rolling my eyes at just how much of the group's comedy is now centered around the boys wanting to date Roughnut, who is into the actual main focus, which is Kit Harington.
You really are full of surprises. Let's go.
You know, Skullcrusher's gonna need somebody to look after him now. Me?
Eret, son of Eret feels like an action figure, or more accurately, a celebrity casting that somebody thought people were gonna be way more excited for, as they assumed that Kit was gonna be like Hollywood's next leading man, only for Pedro to land that title. But Eret is here. He's having the same arc Hiccup's dad had about learning dragons are friends. Meanwhile, Astrid is off to the side trying to corral this crew, hype up her boyfriend, or worst of all, spectating.
Hey, Dad!
Yeah, the dad's dead. TLDR, Drago had a dragon of his own that killed another dragon, allowing him to mind control Toothless, with dear old Stoic taking the bullet meant for his son. Astrid just kind of chilling at the back of the funeral, so his mom walks in to tell him, hey, you're great. This is who you are. And then they win.
Come here, you.
Personally, honestly, I love How to Train Your Dragon 2. The darker tone, the story of Hiccup's family, it's all great, but I do think this extra focus on his fam, plus introducing an actual villain we need to spend time with and explain what his whole deal is, that does kinda lead to, well, they only have so much time, so Astrid kinda gets less as a result. If it's not about Hiccup, Astrid doesn't get much to do. I kind of primarily blame this on the sidekicks, as if you cut these chuckle fucks out of the film, we could just have Aerith and Astrid bonding, maybe touch on Astrid's history of being obsessed to really help her connect with Aerith, winning him over to the cause, as on its own, it kind of feels like only Aerith and Astrid's dragon need to be here. Everyone else really could have just stayed in bed and nothing would have been lost. Astrid and Hiccup are cute. I think they are wonderful together, but I do see what some people are saying about how Astrid's screen time has been built around her dating Hiccup, which I do think is the main problem. Screen time. If we had more time, Astrid would be able to care about things besides Hiccup. We could expand her character, her history, and hell, if we had spare time, we could give it to the extras and maybe they'd become decent characters. Hello? Wait, they have a show? Shows? The fuck you mean 144 episodes? Now, at this point, I have to plug Audrey Graywind. She did a 4.5-hour video breaking down all of Astrid, and I can't top that. So if you want the full experience, go check out her video.
This is Berk.
So we're just gonna do this broad strokes. Riders of Berk is the first spin-off show for the Dragon franchise, taking place a short period of time after the first film. This series, from my memories, well, I thought it was fun. I think I watched every episode when I was younger, but while I liked it, I don't remember it being like a particular highlight of my Cartoon Network rotation. It was clearly a kid's show and I was a little bit older, with the running plot not really demanding my attention. Well, at least at first. Now, I think the first props we gotta give this franchise is just how much of the original cast they were able to get back. They all returned with sound-alikes filling in for everyone else, and it is damn near identical, or they simply weren't prevalent enough for it to be an issue. This is pretty much the dream scenario for any of these spin-off shows, as I think we all remember the disappointment of watching Aladdin, the animated series, and finding out the genie wasn't voiced by Robin Williams. Oh my god, I'm decrepit. But for immersion purposes, this is the goal. This is the dream, especially when you get the main character. That's the biggie. It makes it so going from the movie to the show is basically a seamless experience. And while I don't think the shows are necessary viewing to like fully contextualize the movies, as yeah, I did see that being used as an excuse for like Hiccup going to talk to Drago. That isn't like him being like super naive. He's like, he did it before with some other like, no, dude was able to convince his father. That is enough justification. We don't need to talk about all the other villains for this to like make sense or require people to watch this show to understand what is happening. But what they do amazing is just giving us lots of extra context, helping to expand the world, doing so to such a degree that like the world building and characterization, when it's gone in the hidden worlds, that did annoy me. Now, the first TV show is primarily centered around the misadventures of Hiccup working out the kinks of integrating dragon and Viking society, all while dealing with villains who have beef with the village or Hiccup personally. But to combat these foes and to lend this kid a hand, the sidekicks all step up to become actual members of the main cast, forming an actual friend group that is co-led by Hiccup and Astrid. The immediate thing that the show does that might have been controversial at the time is that it makes the brave, borderline scandalous decision to have Astrid and Hiccup not start out together.
So, you two were a thing, right?
What? No, just friends.
Yes, in the movie, Astrid is a girl who knows what she wants and goes for it. That final kiss and really lends itself to the idea that they're just in love. They're together, they're an item. She clearly is saying like, yeah, this is happening. No, that isn't what happens. And I think in this case, I kind of like that. I hate a long drawn out will they won't they scenario, and it takes like a hot second for these two to get there, but as a subplot in a kid's show, I think this works and like is an interesting little thing to poke at for oohs and ahs, with it kind of making sense. They may have kissed, but that doesn't automatically mean they're dating. So while they will hug, they'll also pull back as they're probably not sure if that is like okay or not. Hiccup probably thinks this like, okay, she's just gonna do whatever she wants and I am fully down for it. Well, Astrid is like, I have initiated so much, done all the heavy lifting. When is he gonna make his move? This isn't exactly their dynamic, but it's an easy way to justify why they don't just start as an item. If this were dragged out for 40 episodes, then yeah, I think that would start to get on my nerves. But thankfully, it only takes 90. Wait, why the hell don't I remember this annoying me more?
What do I have to do to get my father to accept me?
He does accept you. He just accepts the painting more.
Oh yeah, that's right, they're basically already a couple. See, this is the great workaround that the series does to like avoid the issue of the movie implying the two are now a thing, only to walk back that choice and then bait us with it for 90 goddamn episodes. You just have them be basically a couple in all but name. They're able to have Hiccup and Astrid hang out, talk to one another, confide, save each other's lives typically by pulling them out of the ocean. They are co-parenting the rest of these idiots, which I think perfect. As rather than having them be fully awkward or distant in a way that like make it feel like we are missing something by them not formally dating, the series just has them be a duo who are close friends. They're basically a couple. That is it. There's a little narrative angsting about like the actual fate of these two ending up together. Only a certainty that it will happen in its own time. With us being okay with this pace, as it never feels like the two are holding back anything while they're around one another. There's no real fear of rejection or hiding what they think. With even the fights and arguments never feeling like it's there for manufactured reasons to create drama, instead it just comes from their personal beliefs clashing and a disagreement over what would be the best course of action. This openness removes that clawing need to just see them shut up and confess already, as they truly aren't holding anything back, which makes them a couple of friends that is about to be a real couple. It renders moments like them hugging under the stove only to pull away a cute reminder like, oh yeah, these kids haven't figured it all out yet. It's not an annoyance about how the story won't let that moment lead to something more after 380 chapters of bait. Though I thought they were gonna do a love triangle for a second and I nearly had a heart attack.
Uh-oh. Looks like there's another hen in the rooster house.
This is Heather, a castaway who washes onto the shores of Berk, and I think she was a disciple of the Asami school of character design. As in a show of gawky-looking teenagers, she's clearly designed to be classically pretty. And you know that's a point since all these boys are written to be thirsting for her, except for Hiccup, because Sigma male or some shit, or he's like basically only into Astrid. Whichever you think is like the cuter answer. But he does like the basic thing of asking, hey, are you okay? You just got shipwrecked, holy shit, are you like alive? And he lets her then stay at his place, as they need to figure out like what the next move is here. Now, initially when I was watching this episode, I did tense up a lot, as I was waiting for Heather to just become the other one, the one that's used to motivate Astrid and Hiccup to fight, to make one of them jelly. And thankfully, it doesn't actually go that direction. Instead, it just has Heather be suspicious. She is wandering around the town at night, Astrid sees it, which is perfect as now Astrid has a valid reason to not trust this bitch. You know, besides Hiccup neglecting her to spend time with Heather, who is spending time with all the boys asking them all the questions about their dragons, with these horned up idiots being way too happy to answer. But the final most sus thing about Heather is that, well, she's having secret meetings with their enemies, who are just evil Vikings led by Mark Hamill.
People will say anything to keep themselves alive.
God, he appears in all the weirdest places, and I love that. Astrid, though, can't convince Hiccup that Heather is up to no good, as say what you want about Heather, she has got a mean sprint, making it look like nothing is amiss, till the book goes missing along with Astrid's dragon, as Little Miss Innocent robbed them. So then they jump her, but they end up losing the book. Astrid goes undercover as Heather to get the book back, only for her to run into one itty bitty little problem. And that is that Mark Hamill was, well, holding Heather's parents hostage. Well, he wasn't, because those aren't her parents, but that is a whole other story. This complicates the whole escape plan Astrid had going on, but thankfully Heather eventually steps in to save them from an ambush, and everyone's just chill at the end. No, for real. For all like you're suspecting this to be like the most cliche direction, the story just ends with them like being okay. Heather got her parents, she leaves, they eventually die, but Astrid, Heather, Hiccup, they're all cool with each other. And most importantly, Heather, she's here. and she is helping Astrid crush the Bechdel test, as sadly this is the point where I realize that Astrid doesn't have any female friends.
I respect you guys.
Oh, please. You could barely even say it.
Roughnut is the only other girl in this group, but you can count on negative hands how many times like Astrid and Ruff talk one-on-one, and I kind of almost have to respect that. As these two, they have nothing in common. Ruff is a class clown and Astrid is focused, disciplined, some would say a bit of a stick up her ass. They have nothing in common, so them not being super close fully tracks, and probably would have felt forced if they were like, oh, girl power, we need to stick together. And oh my god, I can't believe they did that in the remake and then never followed up on it. That is the real worst part. Now, while I respect them not having Ruff be close with Astrid, I do think this does end up highlighting the fact that Astrid isn't super close to anyone that isn't Hiccup. Snotlout is... he's an idiot who needs to be checked constantly. Ruff and Tough, they need to be put on leashes so they don't burn down the goddamn house. And then there's Fishlegs. I feel like these two should be somewhat close, but the shows themselves never like dig into their relationship. We feel like they're friends. We never really expand upon their dynamics, see them spend one-on-one time together. So it's like, okay, she has Hiccup, she is friends with the rest. No, like for real, she is friends with them, but the deeper exploration of like what she feels towards them, like how they help each other in like times of crisis, that is kind of standard. Astrid gets more time with Snotlout than anyone else, and that's because like he is so easy to write. It is so easy to write a douche that then has like his redemptive moments while still being a piece of shit. Astrid though, if she wasn't in this dragon riding club, she would probably not be friends with any of these people. She cares about them. I do think big picture, I believe in their friendship in this show, but this does lend itself to us seeing Astrid's social life mainly through the lens of her getting with Hiccup, as that's a dynamic that is the most fleshed out and the most explored. Hence why I like the inclusion of Heather from time to time.
I don't know whether to thank you or feel sorry for you.
This friendship makes sense for a number of reasons. The first being, yeah, they're on a similar end of the serious side of the maturity spectrum, being level-headed in crisis, willing to take risks to achieve their goals, enabling each other when they come up with stupid ideas. But most importantly, Heather is treated as Astrid's equal, which the rest of these guys, sadly, you just can't say the same thing about, which is the blessing of having all this extra time to explore these characters. We get the actual focus of Hiccup being a leader, how he was able to change his haters' minds again and again, making his attempts to flip Drago feel less naive and just... he's been here before. Meanwhile, Astrid we truly get to see as a second command of the Dragon Riders, and also outside of that leadership capacity. From her desire to redeem her family name to actual moments of growth where her air of superiority is called out by the underlings, these shows are a great way to highlight just how great these two are as individuals, while also proving what a good team they make. From Astrid slapping all of Hiccup's self-doubt out of him and offering sound advice whenever he needs it, to how Hiccup will step in when Astrid ignores her better judgment and gets in over her head. These two basically trade off saving each other's lives from the many times they nearly drowned. Plus that one time Hiccup made a deal with his arch enemy Alfred Molina to save Astrid's life by having her drink dragon spits.
I've truly missed our time together, Hiccup. My brother leaves something to be desired in the repartee department.
No, I won't be providing any more context. I think it's way funnier without it. But all these misadventures, the life and death struggles, it all builds to Blindsided in season 4 of the third Dragon series, Race to the Edge, which is actually the second TV show, as the first two were actually the same show but with two different titles. Because why not make the branding as confusing as possible, like calling the third film Hidden World despite the second film being called How to Train Your Dragon 2? But who needs a consistent naming convention when you have marketing gimmicks?
I'm right here.
Where? I don't see you.
In Blindside, Astrid caught an eye full of lightning, turning her into the when you have blue eyes meme, as she's now blind, but still somehow more useful than the twins. Joining Hiccup to help round up the dragons after they've been scattered by a storm. Used to taking action, Astrid is naturally frustrated by her newfound helplessness, both from her lack of sight and how those around her are now trying to keep her safe by keeping her on the bench. With said frustration leading to Hiccup giving the best I love you speech he can give without just saying it.
Astrid, you have me, no matter what. Okay, whatever that means, whatever you want it to mean. I am with you.
Naturally, that doesn't happen because why give the people what they want after so many episodes when it's only the midway points? However, when it comes to them, this speech is the best summation we will ever get of their relationship in How to Train Your Dragon, as it really is just so true. We've seen them go from kids protecting their home and dealing with enemies to living on their own trying to protect dragons from the bigger threats of the world. Astrid and Hiccup are a subplot in all this. We don't really get a massive status quo shifts where we realize, like, oh, they're in love. They are and always have been in love. With the constant conflicts they are forced to deal with, highlighting how just stable they are. Sure, it's teased, yeah, they have their disagreements, but from being co-leaders of the Dragon Riders picking each other up when they're down, risking everything to save the other, these shows just do a great job at selling the idea of Astrid and Hiccup being just the universal constant. More than just, oh, they're soulmates. This show and the dynamic of this group couldn't work without these two holding it all down, making it feel all the more valuable with the lack of pomp around them growing closer. It adds just a nice sense of realness to it. Shit will get crazy, for sure, but these two will always be level through all of it, making the moment where they actually become a couple fit so well. As after Astrid's sight comes back after proving she could do the twins' job with her eyes closed, everything just is settled. The two enjoy a nice sunset together, with Astrid just asking if he tried to kiss her back there in the woods, and why he didn't go through with it. He reveals that, yeah, he's been thinking about this a lot, but he never managed to, like, suck up the courage to go through with it, as he's always waiting for, like, that perfect moment, to which she perfectly says,
Well, this seems pretty perfect to me.
These two are now officially dating. Clap. This is not the craziest thing to ever happen to them. The stakes were never through the roof, but they continue to prove why they work so well, as they continued, as they always have, to lean on one another, with Hiccup leaning in for that kiss, making this the first time Astrid didn't have to initiate. Took a while, there was denial, but at the end of the day, these two managed to subvert a lot of the worst will they won't they tropes, making it obvious that it was gonna happen without dangling it till it got annoying. This slow tempo fits Hiccup and Astrid as characters. It is an inevitable pairing that didn't happen sooner as a result of, like, they just had so much other shit going on. Not to mention that slight bit of awkwardness of them getting together being Rin, just, it's a part of who they are. And I love this moment where reformed villain Dagger just, he marries a woman named Mala, and the two get engaged in like about a week, leaving Astrid to experience a little bit of relationship envy, as just, it happens so quickly.
It was love at first fight. Hit me again.
And Hiccup hasn't commented on her wearing her betrothal necklace, making Astrid feel like Hiccup is taking her for granted. But by the end, they just talk. Hiccup admits that, yeah, I kinda screwed up there, I made mistakes, and he declares his eternal love for her. One of my biggest praises for these shows is that on top of being able to expand upon the characters, they also do a great job of justifying its own and the movie's decisions. It doesn't feel too pandering as we watch Hiccup get all of his gear he'll have in the movies. The writers were able to make this relationship work just like they were able to make the sidekicks. And frankly, the world of How to Train Your Dragon is at its richest, the characters are at their most fleshed out, all in just the TV show. So I'm naturally terrified to watch the third film, as I remember it dropping the ball in some of these respects.
I know what you're thinking. You've never had a prisoner this hot.
Fuck, they made these guys insufferable again.
This is Berk.
So the shows, they don't matter to this film, a fact that I'm only marginally bitter about, primarily because the sidekicks suck again, and Snotlout is trying to fuck Hiccup's mom.
And please, call me Valka. It has been a year.
First name basis.
Apparently that's not what the director was going for, but he was also trying to make these guys funny, so clearly what someone was trying to do and how it comes off, there's a bit of a disconnect. Kinda like how the local bear telling Astrid and Hiccup to just tie the knot already just doesn't go over well.
I get married. The M word.
Gross.
This is awkward, which fair given how it's been brought up, but later Astrid finds Hiccup doing his thinking, where she breaks the news to him that Gobber was right about the island. See, since defeating Drago, his army regrouped and started trying to build a new dragon army. Hiccup and co, of course, won't let that happen, but they also don't have anywhere to send these things that are safe, so they kind of just bring them all back to Berk, and things have become extremely overpopulated. The streets are crowded, the sky is cluttered, with Gobber having to be the one to point out that this isn't sustainable. Not wanting to hear from him, Hiccup left, but he'll take it from Astrid, who adds that so long as they are hoarding dragons, there will always be a target on their backs from people who want to use them for their own means. Hiccup's counter to changing course or adjusting anything they're doing being to, I can't even say it. He believes, based on a fairy tale his father once told him, that there is a magical sanctuary where the dragons and they can all live in peace. A hidden world that exists to absolutely not be a cop-out and justify getting rid of the dragons. Also, fun fact, before Toothless got a palette swap girlfriend, people shipped him with Stormfly, the chicken. Do with that information what you will, confirm it, deny it. However, their owners having chemistry is a fact.
No, you are not getting away. Ah, okay, you win.
They've only been together like 6 years, but they handle each other like it's been 20. Also, Toothless just dipped to get laid.
The pinkness of his shins, the shininess of his black feathers, both indicate his sexual quality.
This is what the rest of the movie is actually about. Astrid is amused by this. Hiccup, well, he can't stop cracking jokes.
Trust me, relationships are nothing but pain and misery.
White Toothless is a light fury. She is being used as bait by a dragon hunter named Grimmel to mess with Hiccup. This guy apparently is the one who hunted night furies to extinction, and did so famously, despite the fact that this info never reached Berk, and Grimmel apparently knew Stoic.
Well, your father knew of me.
I'm inclined to put a lot of emphasis on that of, as otherwise, Hiccup's tribe saying no one has ever seen a Night Fury would be a plot hole. Also unrelated, but Grimmel, great voice, but overall, underwhelming. But since Vigo isn't canon anymore, essentially, it kinda tracks that Hiccup tells everyone to just evacuate the island on account of one guy, with Astrid and her axe being the one to make sure everyone hears him out on this one. Love how they've gone from Astrid chucking her axe at a tree out of Hiccup frustrating her, to her slamming into a wooden table to calm a crowd for him. Abandoning Berk to find a new sanctuary where they can live in peace, and it takes them 1 day to get there. They find a whole new island in 1 long day of flying. Again, why couldn't they have found this early? This is crazy to me that they had a whole exploring phase. And stuff like this just keeps popping up out of nowhere. Just say it's been a week, it's way more believable. Also, Hiccup is back to wingmanning Toothless. Everyone just kinda assumes this means Toothless might not come back, prompting a lot of side-eye as Hiccup, the thought hasn't occurred to him, and given the evidence, he's the only sane one here. These dragons soul bond with humans immediately, and in just the movies, I don't think we get an example of a dragon refusing to pair with a human ever. We have the one that's abused, but that's a whole other story, and it stays loyal to its master, apparently. So them fraying about this one being too wild kind of feels like a reach. Even if on the surface, it does sound about right. Which will bring up an issue of this movie saying something that doesn't track with the shows. That I can get past. Them saying something that feels incongruous with the other movies, that makes me a little bit more skeptical. Though I will admit Volca asking Astrid to support Hiccup and to make him realize
He thinks he's nothing without Toothless.
And help him realize the truth.
That's the one where I'm like, girl, have you seen these two? They have that couple game on lock. Astrid should not need to be prompted to go help Hiccup. That said, if Volca didn't say this, they would not have spoken the entire movie. So I guess this is the compromise. Also, in the time I've spent rambling, Hiccup and Astrid found the mythical hidden world. It's like an hour outside of New Berk, which really makes me second guess the whole security of this place. Yeah, they found Toothless. He followed the white dragon all the way to her place, and apparently he's just the king now. And Hiccup just decides his best buddy, the person he spent so much time with, he's just gonna walk away and let Toothless do his own thing. And I'm like, okay, like really, you're giving up so easily. But then Toothless gets jumped by not Mads Mikkelsen.
And now our little game must come to an end.
Then in Hiccup's darkest hour, feeling the most hopeless, Volca tells Astrid to go talk to him.
After you, my apprentice.
Could you please stop backseat driving this relationship? It really takes a little bit out of the whole interaction that they have. I feel like Hiccup's mom should be the advisor, not the push to get Astrid to like actually go and support him, as it doesn't feel necessary, as she already did exactly this in the first film. Astrid was underutilized in the second film. I get the compromise of using her subplot to introduce the threat of Drago, as Hiccup is hanging out with his mom. But while it wasn't the best use of her as a character, I didn't think it was hitting the worst of, oh, she's the girlfriend, the cheerleader allegations. And Hidden World is kind of where most of the fuel to this fire is. Every single conversation Astrid has is about or with Hiccup. Even the deleted scenes are her kind of talking about Hiccup and her impending marriage. She loves him, she supports him, and none of that is like an issue in of itself. But I do think in a trilogy with clear and obvious fat that should have been cut, Astrid's main relevance to the story being Hiccup's love interest and support, the quote I showed at the beginning of this video, while a bit out of pocket, is not wrong when it comes to the assessment that Astrid is predominantly utilized to cheer Hiccup on or up, with Hiccup's mom pushing Astrid, just making it feel like all the more eyebrow raising, as it's like, she's done this before. Do we really need Astrid to be pushed into this? I know we're doing a coming of age story, but I don't think that needs to come with Astrid as Hiccup's love interest being shown to have less narrative autonomy when she's 21 than she did when she was 15. How to Train Your Dragon, well, it's great. Hiccup's story of growing from a young outcast to a chief to, well, a dad who's willing to let go of his best friend. I love that. I enjoy it. Thematic issues notwithstanding. But in prioritizing Hiccup, his family, and growth, other things had to get less, with Astrid being the easiest and most consistent victim of this. Apparently there was a deleted extended scene of Stokes' funeral where Astrid comforted Hiccup in his clear moment of need, which I don't think would have helped the story beat the allegations. But it does feel weird that Valka is the only one to approach Hiccup in that moment. Oh my god. Every movie has Hiccup's darkest hour being ended by the women in his life reaching out to him. Which, I don't have a problem with that. Cool, we love a dude willing to express his emotions and take advice. But it's paired with said female characters getting roles that predominantly feed into the male hero's emotional support, while other parts of them just get put on the back burner if they're present at all. However, these issues don't ruin these movies or shit for me. I think it's fully possible to acknowledge something has flaws while loving it in an irrational amount. I think the ending for Hidden World is a bit of a mess, great emotions, but in a series all about defying prejudice to come together, splitting apart cause what if humans are bad rings hollow to me. I still nearly cry every time Hiccup and Toothless split up, but that just might be the Butterfree trauma. But after they let the dragons go, after saving Toothless, Hiccup and Astrid, they get married. And I think that is just a nice culmination of their relationship, with the next scene showing them having kids. That music, it's amazing, and it almost makes you forgive just how horribly used the sidekicks are. As it went on, I think the How to Train Your Dragon movies underutilized Astrid, making her role in the story one of supporting Hiccup while not even letting that choice to help fully be hers. This uncertainty of how to help Hiccup feels off in the context of all the TV shows, and the movies where Astrid was able to do the same thing without the nudging. I think this is an artifact of a different subplot they had for Astrid, one where she's feeling just a little bit jittery about having to marry Hiccup, at least so soon. They cut this for time, making the motherly advice feel more consequential to like, oh, the couple supporting him versus Astrid taking this final leap into being with him, a prelude for their eventual marriage. She helps him find the hidden world, but that was the dragon. She's there to support him, but that is prompted. And it's all like, she's more prevalent here than she was in the second, but it all still feels underwhelming. However, thankfully, I think multiple things can be true at once. We acknowledge that there is a bit of a regressive tinge to how Astrid is used throughout the trilogy, just like we acknowledge that they are cartoon couple goals, and probably the best romance that DreamWorks has ever made. They avoid all the high drama that so many other cartoon couples are famous for, with the TV shows enhancing them into a truly top-tier couple that has the miracle of being able to actually communicate like two normal people. They are adorable, they are sweet, and it's all done in a realistic way. I can see why kids and teens gravitated towards this as, aspirational. Honestly, it does mostly live up to the hype, so I still ship them. Even if I do think the main reason they're held in such high regard is because mainstream audiences are cowards who refuse to read shoujo. And for those of you who are concerned, I won't be on camera all the time. Look, I need to justify this green screen purchase, and this is how you do it. Check out my sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Let me know what you all thought of the video in this current style and how I look like celebrity X, Y, or Z. Oh yeah, I did get cooked that one time. They're right, but I still love the jacket.